evening, good evening, good evening. You all know how we get down. It is another evening of Bible study here in the 6 o'clock hour. I am the spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman, and I'm so glad that you've joined me on this fine day. Come on in here. Mish Mish is here. So much love to you, sis. And again, Happy New Year. It is so good to see you. Evening and salutations. I appreciate you for being in the midst tonight. Now, you all know we just jump right in. We don't do a lot of preliminary. We just get right into the scripture, and so we're gonna jump right on top of where we left off on last night. Had an excellent Bible study yesterday evening, and I really enjoyed all the input and everything that everybody was sharing in the chat. Now, so we want to start. We missed those last two verses in chapter 1. Excuse me. Again, for those that are, this is your first time. If you've never read the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, this is the place you want to be, because that's what we're going to do this year. We're going to go from Genesis to Revelation, and we are doing it in the chronological order. So we are using both Tyndale's chronological Bible, and that more so for beginners, as well as Reese chronological Bible, which is for more advanced study. So we are pairing those two together, knowing that Abram and Job are contemporaries. We're going to pick back up with the story of Job. All the servants have come and delivered all of their traumatic news. And then we want to start right here in verse 21. And Job said, "Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Now, mind you, this is after he's gotten back to back to back to back. Bam, 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 bam. Servant came running to Job. You lost all your cattle and your sheep and your oxen. Servant came running to Job. I mean, it was just one thing after another, right up to the loss of his children. And so we talked on yesterday how, what was it that Job did? He worshiped. Now, this is one of the things I'm going to go back to initially where I started in Genesis. And I said, really, if you stop and think about when Adam and Eve missed the mark, which is what sin is. It is an archery term that means to miss the mark, to miss the mark. So when we and the good thing about missing the mark, you just get another arrow and you shoot again. But what we find happening in that experience was where God was coming every day and having conversation with Adam and Eve in the garden, as friends, as confidants, as people in relationship. Once their eyes were opened, as the Bible termed it, then they saw themselves as less than. And that's where I said we really saw sin bring corrupted psychology. Sin brought a corrupted psychology, because we never before that moment had a sense of being ashamed. They were naked, but they've been naked from the very beginning, and they were ashamed. So what we have here is a corrupted psychology. So the mind has been corrupted, especially in the way that we think about ourselves. Not only in the way that we see the outer world, but probably the biggest fall that occurred was the fall that occurred in our minds about how we were in standing in relationship to God. Now, as I said, God never stopped coming in the garden. He still came in to speak. He still came in to have that fellowship, but they had changed and they had fallen in their mind and in their corruption of their psychology. So this is what I want to point out here. This is something that's special about Job. Job does not operate from a corrupted operating system. Okay. We talked about it again, going and referring back to the original fall of Adam and Eve, almost as if a virus had gotten into the operating system and corrupted all the files that were in there. What we find with Job, on the other hand, Job is that brother that, man, all this stuff has happened to him, but his operating system still understands, I need to worship. Yes, my heart is broken. yes, I'm stunned. I might even be a little shocked at everything that's going on, but he still had a presence of mind to worship. And that was a matter of he didn't lose his corrupted his psychology about who God was not corrupted. Okay, even though those traumas hit back to back to back to back, bam, 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 his psychology did not get warped about who God was, and in spite of what was going on, he still had a presence of mind to say, it's about worship. It's about the relationship, God, that you and I have. And so here we say, what does he say? Naked I came out of my mother's womb, and naked I'm going to return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Because this is the understanding that Job had, even with regard to his children. Job realized those children were not his; they belonged to God. And so, as he said, the Lord gave them to me, the Lord has taken them away. Job represents patience and faith. Come on here, Dylan. In the face of adversity. And it's easy to say, I have faith. You know, we'd like to be able to get up and say, I have. We'd like to say, I have the faith. Like Vanessa Bell Armstrong. But at the end of the day, do we show in the face of adversity that we really do have the faith? So we have this manifestation. Job is such a good manifestation. But now I'm going to tell you, because we know later on, this is one thing I do want us to understand. We've got to make that choice continuously, because right at this particular point in time, he's on point. But then we're going to have a little bit of a situation later on where he makes a choice that's like, hey, but that is real life and real living. Yes, we want to make that choice every time, absolutely positively, but then don't beat yourself down, because there are the places where we miss it. And you know what? When we miss it, we don't have to cover it up. We don't have to hide it. We don't have to make believe and pretend. Just admit it, acknowledge it, keep on moving. But at this particular point in time, we see him in total presence of mind. His psychology, his faith is spot on. Spot on. The Lord gave, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And then going on to that next verse, he didn't miss the mark, because that's what I said sin was. That's what sin is, that archery term, to miss the mark. In all of this, Job didn't sin, and he didn't charge God foolishly. And that, again, that corrupted psychology is that state where we start charging God as if he's done us an evil, or, as if he doesn't love us, or, he's forgotten about us, or he doesn't see our suffering, and he doesn't understand what we're feeling and what we're going through. Yes, he does. He absolutely. We have not a high priest that cannot be touched by the feelings of our infirmities, whatever our weaknesses are, wherever our heart is hurting, wherever our heart is heavy, wherever we're grieving, wherever we weep, God is right there with us. Emmanuel, God with us. Job shows we must trust God even when we cannot understand him, even when he is thoroughly confusing to us. Come on, Dalen. And that I'm going to say, because at the end of the day, as we get ready to move into chapter 2, Job stops. He starts talking to God. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation with God and saying, okay. As a matter of fact, I want to encourage you to do that. If you're going to talk to anybody, and by all means, we need natural support. And I don't cut that off in any way, shape, or form. But feel just as liberal in your conversation and communication with God. And that's my relationship with the Lord. The Lord and I are in relationship just like I am with any of my other friends, for real. I don't feel like there's anything that I can't talk to God about, any kind of way that I have to approach, and I don't have to thee, thou, and thee. I can just talk to God just like I'm talking to you all right here on this stream. So as we get, he knows it all, Crystal Method. He knows it all anyway. The beauty of it, and this is one thing that I know for my own experience, I have I won't say I have a lot of people in my inner circle. I don't. Um, and the people that are in my inner circle are tried and true. Please believe me. They are tried and true. And I've gotten burnt a couple of times with jumping in and thinking somebody was my close friend and whatever, and everything was presenting, but then a day came was like bam, oh my god. But my really close friends, they are tried and true down through the years, and I do mean many years. And I have to speak from the position of when they open up and talk to me about what's really on their heart. Those are some of the, oh, what I want to say, most bonding and precious moments, because my friends are not people that just open up to people either. We all are, somewhat closed, and that we love hard. We love hard. But we've been hurt a lot as well. So at the end of the day, all of my close is like when they open up to me, oh my God, I know that this is a very intimate space and a very intimate moment, and I honor that. I honor that. So if you can imagine when we open up, and I know how that makes me feel when they open up and just tell me what's really on their heart and where they're really coming from. And if you can imagine how God is waiting on that from us, you know, he God is he's a friend of mine. I no longer call you servant. I call you friend. I'm a friend of God. And when we start coming into the relationship as friends and not as servants and not as even children, children is that's to be a child of God, that's great. But there's a different relationship between friends and children. And I know we talk about getting to a point of maturity where the children can become your friends, but I don't care. I'm one of those that I'm old school. And yes, I ended up with a very, my mother and I, we were able to work through and talk through some beautiful spaces in life where by the time she passed away, I felt like we had an intimate relationship. And I was very thankful to God for that. We talked about some things that I had carried, and she shared some things that she had carried, and I mean, it was just a beautiful thing. But at the end of the day, that's still my mom. I don't necessarily blur that boundary between parental and children, but yet and still, I feel like when you can have friends that you can open up and be yourself with, that's a beautiful thing. Here we get to Job, the second chapter. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. Now, Satan, he shows up again, and Satan also. And the Lord said to Satan, "From whence camest thou?" And Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it." Then we go on to the next verse, chapter 3, verse 3. And the Lord said unto him, "Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright?" Now here we got God testifying about him again. I mean, this is just, and I said this on yesterday. Sometimes when you're going through, God is allowing that thing to happen until you realize who you are. God already knows who you are and what you're made of. But sometimes you don't know who you are and what you're made of. And God's just allowing that opportunity for it to manifest. In this instance, he is allowing Satan to be used as a vehicle and a tool to begin to manifest what's in Job. And he testifies again. Okay, you did what you did to him, but at the end of the day, listen, Job, he was spot on. He still worshiped and he did not sin. He did not judge me foolishly. Satan answered the Lord and said, "Skin for skin." Because you remember the Lord said when they came the first time, you can't touch him. You can touch everything that he has, but you can't touch him. Dalen, suffering does not automatically mean he or she is receiving divine. But oh, absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Because that's going to be the conversation that he's going to have with. Listen, these friends of Job. With friends like these, who need enemies? But listen, I'm going to tell you what. I went through a season in my life, and it was a very hard place of suffering. And guess what I got? I got a whole lot of, have you searched your life to see where the sin is? Have you, I mean, I got all kind of, they packaged it up in all kind of ways, but at the end of the day, they were all accusing me of sin. And that this was divine punishment against me for something that I had done in my life. And it, to that point, Dalen, I literally can remember during that season where I was snotting and crying because people, and these many of them were people that I looked up to. But I'm gonna tell you all, be careful how you make, and I'm gonna use little g, gods of people in your life. Because sometimes all those people that you put on a pedestal, those are the very ones that very without uh intention, I'm gonna say, in many instances, and some of them did have intention, just straight up. Some of them did have intention, but I believe some of them did not. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Rebel Inc. always tells me me giving people the benefit of the doubt's gonna kill me, because I'm always giving folk the benefit of the doubt. But at the end of the day, sometimes we allow people to hold such a place, a reverential place in our lives. And I'm not saying, you can't respect people, but be careful that you don't put them in a position where if they say something that's not in alignment, because sometimes the people that you look up to, they get off too. They get off sync. They get out of alignment too. So when all these people, especially the ones that I really looked up to, the accusing mothers, Crystal, I see Crystal Method, uh, absolutely, uh, and and so I started snotting and crying and laying out before the Lord and fasting and consecrating. And Lord, show me where it is. Show me where it is. Show me what it is. And finally, the Lord said, "There's nothing there. I didn't tell you anything was there." He said, "I've got a relationship with you such that I talk to you directly. And if there were something, it would have been confirmation to you. But the fact that you out here searching and looking for something because the mother said, Crystal Method, or whoever it was that said, there's something going on in your life. You need to seek it out and search it out. I didn't tell you that." And I mean, I promise you, and the Lord, that's the kind of relationship we have, just like that. I mean, it was like, get up from there. I didn't tell you that. You've been laid out here, done fasted and consecrated, turned the plate down. There's nothing wrong with all of that. But at the end of the day, you just keep on and keep on and keep on. And I'm like, you're not hearing anything from me because there's nothing for me to tell you. Now, I'm not saying I'm without sin. I'm saying the situation was not because I was in divine punishment for something that I had done. So, I want us to be very cautious. And even when you look at people that are going through, I would prefer, and even as we said on the other day, it's easy to play the dozens, but it's hard to give compliments. I would prefer, if you see somebody going through, I would prefer that we start looking at people saying, "Oh, God is testifying to them. Oh, God is testifying of them." Because listen, God knows what they are made of, and God knows they can stand the test. God knows, and He's just, can we do that? Can we start embracing that instead of looking for sin and divine punishment being, meted out on the people? So we get here, and Satan says, "Now look, you did everything, but you didn't let him, skin for skin. Let me touch his body, and I promise you, something else is gonna happen." So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with boils from the sole of his feet unto his crown. Now, and I've had some of y'all remember back in the day we used to get impetigo, and I'd never heard of it before, and we didn't have it, but we went and spent some time with some family members that had impetigo, and I messed around. Everybody else had it on their arms and their legs or whatever. Anybody that is not familiar with that, they're almost like running boils and sores that break out on your body. And everybody else got it on their little arms and on their little legs, and they had it for a minute, and it cleared up. Some way or another, I got it up in my head, and I had it so bad that I had to go and receive medical treatment, and I had it for a long length of time, couldn't get rid of it. And when I tell you that my scalp was just like mush, And my mother, bless her, God bless that woman. She had to wash my hair with medicated shampoo every day. I had to go get some shots. I had to take oral meds and this and that and the other. It was just really a traumatic experience. And my scalp still isn't right from it. But the thing about it is, not only do those boils and sores run and spread, they stink. So if you can imagine uh, Job having this outbreak from the crown of his head to the soles of his feet, where he's just sitting and scraping it. Oh man, my heart goes out to him on every level, on every level. And I can remember I would hate, and my mom would change my pillowcases, but I would hate to lay down on the pillow because where the pus and everything was running, where the sores would run, and that's how it just keeps spreading, because every time it ruptures it spreads, and wherever it spreads it breaks out another boil, and wherever it spreads it breaks out another boil. Oh my God, I'll never forget that as long as I live. Don't wish that on anybody. But at the end of the day, it's like I'd hate to put my head down on the pillow because that odor was so strong. Or I really didn't have to put it on my pillow. I could smell it. And I was very self-conscious about it too, because I'm like, if I can smell it, I know other people can smell it. And kids are not necessarily the kindest, and whatever the case may be. Now, my family does not allow you to tease and make fun of folks. So if it was going on, it wasn't going on in front of me, but in my mind. How many of you know when something's going on with you, you imagine everybody's talking about you, even though that's not the case. I can only imagine, my heart goes out, and how Job had to feel to have that from the crown of his head to the soles of his feet. And he took him a potsherd. I'm sorry, my eyes, I can't see this distance. To scrape himself with, and sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still retain thy integrity? Curse God and die. So, after you start going through so much, you got those, and even amongst our friends, they mean well, but they'll start giving us bad advice. Just curse God and die. Come on, that's what I'm talking about, Crystal Method. So, at the end of the day, I'm looking at when his wife, this is his ace boom coon, this is his, this is his support, this is his spouse. She said, let's get over with it. Just curse him, Dalen. Just curse him. Come on in here, Keith. It's good to see you. Just curse him. So at the end of the day, then, now, it's like, listen, you got an insurance policy on me or what? You talking about curse God and die? Because you already know what the outcome of that's going to be. You already know what the outcome of that's going to be. You got an insurance policy someplace. Now, I'm being facetious. But at the end of the day, that's fatalistic. That is just completely fatalistic. Just go on and do it, and just let God strike you dead. But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women. And that used to be one of my favorite lines in the Bible when I was a kid. You talk like a foolish woman. I mean, in my mind, when I play this back in my head, I'm looking at them having this conversation back and forth, and I'm like, oh my God, this is almost comedy, except for this man is so traumatized and he's been through so much. But then he hit her with, what you talking about, Willis? What you talking about, Willis? Absolutely. What shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin or miss the mark with his lips. With his lips, he would not allow his lips to speak. Again, he didn't have that corrupted psychology where his repetition that he kept putting out there. We talked about corrupted psychology, corrupted repetition. He keeps repeating worship. He keeps repeating the positive. He keeps repeating facts about God and what I know. He just keeps on staying. His repetition is still about the worship, and it's still about God. I love Job. I mean, this brother is just, what you talking about, Willis? At the end of the day, I'm not going to do that. We're not going there. We're not playing that. No, ma'am. No, sir. Now, when Job's three friends heard of this, so they come and they join the party. And so you all know how it all goes. As we go on down through it, and when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, because remember he's got these sores all over his body. You know, he's matter of fact, I'm not even going to put beyond the fact that all of his livestock are dead. You know, all of his children are dead. Everything that he has been destroyed and taken away. This man probably was disfigured to a degree and level, because y'all know, you let a few things happen to us and we, what, spiritual thought leader looking like that, but you let bam 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 bam, you be like, I don't even know who that is. Have y'all had those days where it's like you don't feel like getting out of bed, you don't feel like this, that, and the other, and your hair's all over your head, and your clothes are looking like something the cat drug in, like cat's been sucking on the ends and tips of your hair, and at the end of the day, it's almost like, who is that? He was unrecognizable to his friends. But they lifted up their voice and wept, and they rent everyone his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. That's a form of grieving. So here his friends show up, and so they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and nights. And nobody spoke a word to him, for they saw his grief was very great. But what are you, as my mother would say, what are you representing? What are you representing? You just come and show up and sit there and look at me for 7 days and 7 nights and don't say a word. There's no comfort in that. There's no comfort in that. Job is going through, y'all, but he can't even get a little help from his friends. So here we are sitting here and we're just looking at each other and nothing's happening. So here after this, Job opened his mouth and cursed his day. Now, understand this is basically saying where he's at and the experience that he's going through. Some people interpret that as the day that he was born, but it didn't say what day he cursed. He's just cursing the fact that, man, it would have been better if I wasn't even here. and let me use even that when Dalen, this is some of the, when you asked about the literal 24-hour day, a day and the day, his day, in biblical times, that could represent many, many different things. It doesn't necessarily, and here it leaves it somewhat ambiguous. We don't even know what day. Cursed his day. Was it his birthday? Cursed the day that he's going through all this trauma. Cursed the day that, it could be eeny, meeny, miny, mo, because there's so many different things that you could choose from. But I'm going to kind of stay with the energy of everything that was going on with him in that the day. For me, in this particular passage of scripture, encompasses everything that starts from the time Satan showed up and showed himself amongst the sons of God and asked could he touch him, up to that present. Everything that had happened consists of is contained within the concept of Job's day. For me, when I read that. Now, y'all can take that wherever you want to, but I'm just saying so many times it can represent so many different angles. Job spake and said, now, y'all, his friends done showed up and just sat there and looked at him for 7 days and 7 nights. So Job had to finally say, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which I was in which it was said, there was a man child conceived. So here we go. We're talking, he breaks it on down. The day that I was born, the night wherein I was conceived. Listen, I heard somebody say to another man today, as a matter of fact, your mother, well, yeah, anyway. At the end of the day, you get this whole sense. Let the day be darkness, let not God regard it from above, neither let the night shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of this man is going forth. He's grieving, y'all. This is grief. This is grief. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined into the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of the months. Woo, lo, let the night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come there herein. Let them curse. I mean, this man is, you understand? Is anybody out there feeling his pain? Let them curse the curse today who are ready to raise up their mourning. Come on here. Let the stars of the twilight. He is like, listen, heavens, earth, everything that's in the earth, everything that's under the earth, curse the day. Oh my God. This man is torn. He's hurt. He's wounded. Because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid sorrow from mine eyes. Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? And I don't know about you, but there have been days I'm like, Lord, why am I here? Let's be for real, for real. Why am I here? Why did the knees prevent me? Why the breast that I should suck? For now should I have lain still and been quiet, I should have slept. In other words, this man saying I could have been stillborn. I could have just not been. Then, if I just not been born and just been stillborn, then I could have had some rest. Then I could have been at rest with the kings and the counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver. So we go on, and this man is lamenting. Do we get that picture? There the wicked cease from troubling, and the weary gonna be at rest. We used to sing that back at come on here, Rebel. Because listen, this man is going through. Now, you know that when I read this line, we used to sing, there's a song that's, I'm going where the wicked shall cease from troubling, the weary shall be at rest, all of the saints of the ages shall sit at his feet and be blessed. This man is going through. Come on, y'all. There the prisoners rest together. They hear not the voice of the oppressor. The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. Come on here. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in the soul. This man is really describing what he's going through, y'all. Which long for death. I'm depressed and ready to die, and longing for death, but it cometh not. And dig for it more than a hidden treasure. I want to die. That's basically, Job is really saying, cursed the day that I was born, but since I'm here. Come on, y'all. Which rejoiceth exceedingly and are glad. Come on. Woo! Why is the light given to a man whose way is hid, and whom God hath helped in? Come on, the original Macbeth. Come on here, Dalen. This man is going through, and he's speaking to his friends that are still sitting here looking at him, sitting like bumps on the log and looking on him and at him as if he's. For my sighing cometh before I eat, and my roarings are poured out like the waters. For the thing which I greatly feared, and this is the scripture I'm going to stop with right here. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. Now, this is where am I at on my time? Oh, I'm already 7 minutes over, y'all. Okay, because we started right in today. We didn't lollygag. We started right in today. The thing that I feared has come upon me. And this is the thing that I want, and when I read this passage of scripture, it always comes to me that fear has the ability, because fear has torment. Fear has the ability to magnetize and draw the very things that we don't want to us. Fear. Fear. It almost like um, I equate it to when I was younger. We lived out in the country, and it was known to have wild dogs out there sometimes. And we had a pack of wild dogs that was going around killing livestock for a while. And as it would be, I had a fear of dogs. I always had a fear of dogs. Seemed like when I was a kid, unless they were my dogs, we're good. But somebody else's dog, I'm not getting out the car. I'm not. You can talk about, he's a nice dog and he got teeth. So I equate it to. I remember when my dad, in his attempt to try to help me in my fear, would say, dogs can sense fear. Well, what'd you tell me that for? Because you might as well just go ahead and lay me on up there and let me be a pork chop. Because if they can sense fear, it's pointless. It's pointless. But I'll say that even about the environment of the universe, you'll find yourself saying, just like Job here in verse 25, for the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. And so I encourage you, and when we think of, perfect love casts out fear because fear has torment. But I always emphasize the perfect love because that's God, that relationship. If we, as we journey through life, and I believe that everybody has a lot experience. I believe everybody has a lot experience. I'm sorry, Job experience. I'll get my three letter names twist around, but we're talking about Job. I think that everybody has a Job experience. And so whatever your experience is, I hope that in your processing and working through it, that you will get beyond your fear. Get beyond your fear. Get beyond that fear that torments you. And sometimes those fears are hidden. Nobody even knows that they're there. But some way or another, it has a way of popping up and manifesting. If whatever that area is, and I'm just going to call it an infirmity, whatever that infirmity, that infirmity of fear and spirit of fear that wants to lay hold of you, if you don't deal with it, you'll be saying just like Job, the thing which I greatly feared has come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. Work through your fear, because that fear is going to keep you in a state of corrupted psychology. All right. And I'm past my time, so I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit. And I appreciate y'all for letting me. I know you're always saying I can keep going, but I do want to try to stay close to that 30-minute window, and then open the floor. So anyone that wants to share, talk, ask questions, or comment, this is your time, and I welcome that definitely. Yesterday, like I said, you all gave me some good feedback and some good questions in the chat. Hopefully this evening brought something to you as well. Anything that you want to address, or anything that jumped out at you. And yes, Dalen, I think the original Macbeth is a good description, because this was a true lament. This was a true lamentation of Job. The lamentation of Job. Brother was, man, he was hurting. He was hurting. But thing I'll say in that, and I'm just kind of talking to see if anybody's going to put something in the chat. I know sometimes it takes it a minute to actually get through the system, especially if you're in YouTube. It seems like it really takes a long time to get to me from YouTube. But in case someone's typing, but just the lament and the lamenting that Job was able to express. One thing I do feel good about it, he didn't hold it in. And I think that's where some of us meet our challenge, is that we won't open up and let it out. It's almost like a wound that's gotten infected, a wound that's gotten pus and whatnot in it, and sometimes you gotta slice that thing open to let that out, let the infection out, let the pus out. You know, even as he said, scraping himself in the ashes. You know, you gotta get all of that dead skin. You got to get all of the infection, the pus, all of that. You got to get all of that out. And so we see that physically, but then do we do that spiritually? Do we do that emotionally? Do we do that psychologically? Or do we just let all that stuff build up? And then just end up with a smelly, putrid mess. You know, Job is he's really on so many levels manifesting to us how to go through a trauma and come out healed. Because we all know that the end of the story, man, is beautiful. But he had to walk through that thing to get there. I don't see anybody saying anything so far. So I'm going to assume all hearts and minds are clear for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow and we'll get to his accusations from his friends, and we'll go through that rather hurriedly. But I want us to look at how to deal with when people start making charges and allegations against you, how to keep it moving. Okay, we'll cover that tomorrow in our reading. So I appreciate you all that came in tonight. You know how I do. I always wait till the very end to come back and say good evening to everybody, because we don't take away from the time of the teaching. So Mish Mish 8 was in here bright and early this evening, and I appreciate you, sis. So much mad love to you. Dalen, I appreciate you for showing up and always having great input along with Crystal Method. Y'all been on it. I mean, you guys have been every single day on it, and I appreciate you for that. It was Keith that came in, and it was good to see you. So much mad love to you. You he's saying is the sound, is the audio really low, you guys? He's saying the sound is extremely low. And I got Rebel Ink in the house. Come on in here, Rebel. Come on in here. I said, okay. He said my sound is amazingly low for some reason. So maybe it's just him, but nobody else told me. Okay, everything is okay. Okay. All right. I appreciate you all. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 o'clock on the dot. It's good for you too. The sound is good. Thank you all. Okay. So maybe some people are just getting poor reception, but okay. That made me nervous there for a minute when I saw that. I was like, what? You mean I went through this whole evening and didn't know the sound was poor? Okay. Thank you all. Thank you. Okay. All right, we do this and we do it every evening. We're going all the way from Genesis to Revelations again, because Job and Abraham, whichever you want to use, we haven't had him change his name yet in our reading material, but they are contemporaries. So we stop for a minute to visit this book of Job, and then we'll be back to Abraham in a minute. I'll see you on tomorrow night. I appreciate you all, and my goal is that you're getting something that you can take away that blesses your life. Hopefully you heard something this evening that you feel real good about. See you tomorrow, and I love you. I absolutely positively. Dalen, you do have what I was gonna say. You caught me right on the tip, because I was like, I've been sitting there, I didn't see anything. I was like, oh, okay. Let me see what you got. On the PDF from the Discord, we're in Job, but the book we're still in Genesis. Yeah, I'm gonna finish up Job, and then I'm gonna go back, and that was the again the having to try to splice the two, the Tyndale and the Reese chronological, and the difference between the two. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up. Let me come over here. Let me share this screen real quick. And I'm glad you caught me before I got up out of here with that question, because some others may have that same question. So if you're looking in, and this is in my Discord, in Word on Fire Bible Study. And if you go under, it's actually pinned at the top of the page. It's actually pinned. If you go to where it looks like a pin at the top of the page, you'll be able to see this guide. So if we come down, I'm just trying to get this down. So Dalen, and I'm trying to see. We got the third round of speeches, January the 13th, Job 29, January the 15th. Okay, so we don't get back to Abram until after we finish with Job in Reese's chronological. So yes, so we're gonna just keep going basically through. Thank you for that question. So we're gonna go all the way down and don't stop until you get to January the 16th pages. January the 16th when we're gonna you see we jump back to Abram. We jump back. Oh, you can't see my. I'm sitting here and like I got a one of those markers where I'm trying to point stuff out, but y'all can't see that. It's not showing up. Okay. But nonetheless, we're going to go down to basically January the 16th as far as the reading and finish all of that. Okay. Thank you so much for that. And then we'll pick back up the story of Abraham. We picked that back up in Genesis chapter 11, it looks like. And so that'll be where we'll jump back to Genesis. All right. Thank you for that question, Dalen. I appreciate you. I really, really do. All right. So, all hearts and minds clear? All hearts and minds clear. And I am splicing the two together. Um, this is the Bible study guide. If anybody wants to, it's on Amazon. And then I'm going to show you the Tyndale chronological, not the Reese's, but the Tyndale 1 year chronological Bible. That's what that looks like. I think Dalen found it, and it may have a green cover now instead of the blue, but that's basically it. And it also has the readings all broken up by day, and so that you can follow it along too. And as I said, that's more of a beginner's chronological, but it's still very helpful, and I appreciate you. Appreciate you. And that's anybody that wants to go out. You can always get it Amazon if you want hard copies, but you know a lot of these you can actually go out online and find the electronic version of it as well, especially if you're trying to conserve dollars. All right. I love you. See you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. And listen, peace for your journey.